In a quiet high school hallway, a granola bar from a vending machine sparked a connection that neither of them saw coming. Welcome to our channel, where we write fascinating tales of people, places, and values. Be sure to like and subscribe so that we can continue creating the stories you love. It was a gray, uneventful Tuesday afternoon at Crestview High School. The final bell had rung, and most of the students were either rushing to their extracurricular activities or heading home. The fluorescent lights of the nearly empty hallway flickered slightly as the hum of vending machines filled the air. For Emma Carter, a soft-spoken scholarship student, this was her favorite time of day. She could wander through the quiet halls without worrying about blending in or trying to avoid the glaring stares of her more affluent peers. Emma pulled her hoodie over her head as she made her way to the vending machine by the library. It was a ritual she had established to reward herself after a long day of staying invisible. She had her eyes set on the granola bar in the second row, her usual pick, but as she approached, she noticed a tall figure standing there, scanning the machine's contents. It was Ryan Matthews, the school star quarterback. Ryan was the kind of guy who seemed to have it all: athletic prowess, good looks, and the charisma that made him the natural center of attention in any room. Emma had always assumed they lived in completely different worlds. She watched from a distance as he inserted coins, his movements relaxed and confident. Emma hesitated, unsure whether she should wait or walk away. Just as she decided to turn back, Ryan turned to leave. But then he stopped. "Hey, you going for something?" he asked, his voice breaking the silence. His tone was friendly, not the mocking lilt she expected from someone like him. Emma froze for a moment before nodding. "Yeah, the granola bar," she said, barely above a whisper. Ryan stepped aside and gestured toward the machine. "All yours." Emma quickly approached, keeping her head down, and fed her coins into the machine. As she reached to press the button for the granola bar, Ryan's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Wait, that's the last one?" he asked, leaning slightly forward to peer into the glass. Emma's hand hovered over the keypad. "I think so," she replied hesitantly. He said, scratching the back of his neck. "I was eyeing that too. But you got here first. Go ahead." Emma glanced at him, surprised by his tone. There was no irritation or entitlement in his voice, just genuine acceptance. She pressed the button, and the granola bar tumbled down to the slot. As she retrieved it, Ryan leaned against the vending machine with an easy grin. "You've got good taste," he said, nodding toward the bar in her hand. "Those are the only things in here that don't taste like cardboard." Emma's lips curved into a small smile. "Yeah, they're pretty good." Ryan tilted his head slightly, as if considering her. "You're in my English class, right?" Emma's stomach tightened. She wasn't used to being noticed, especially by someone like Ryan. "Yeah, I sit in the back." "I thought so," he said, snapping his fingers. "You're the one who always has the answers when Mr. Davis goes into his Shakespeare mode." Emma's cheeks flushed. "I just read a lot," she mumbled, clutching the granola bar. "Well, you're good at it," he said, his voice earnest. "Maybe you can help me out sometime. Not exactly killing it in that class." Emma's eyes widened. Was Ryan Matthews, the golden boy of Crestview, asking for help? Before she could respond, the shrill sound of a coach's whistle echoed from the nearby gym. Ryan straightened up. "Guess that's my cue. Gotta get to practice. But, hey, maybe I'll see you around." Emma nodded, still too stunned to speak. "Cool," he said with a grin. "Enjoy the granola bar." As he jogged off, Emma stood there, staring at the spot where he'd been. It was a small interaction, but it left her feeling lighter. For the first time in a long while, someone had noticed her, and it wasn't in a way that made her feel small or out of place. Clutching the granola bar, Emma walked away from the vending machine, her mind racing. What had just happened? And why did it feel like the beginning of something different? Emma thought the vending machine encounter with Ryan would be a one-time anomaly. People like him didn't mingle with people like her. She was convinced he'd forget about her by the next morning. But she was wrong. The next day in English class, Emma was sitting in her usual spot in the back, quietly jotting down notes on Hamlet. The class was discussing the famous to be or not to be soliloquy, and Emma's hand was halfway up, waiting to share her thoughts, when she felt someone slide into the seat next to her. She turned her head, startled. It was Ryan. "Hey," he whispered, flashing a quick smile. "Hope this seat isn't taken." Emma's mind raced. Why would he sit next to her? The other athletes usually sat in the front row together, exchanging jokes and half-heartedly participating when called on. "Oh, no." "It's fine," Emma replied, her voice barely audible. "Cool," Ryan said, pulling out his notebook. Mr. Davis launched into a lecture about existentialism in Hamlet, but Emma's attention was divided. She couldn't shake the feeling of Ryan's presence beside her. She noticed he was trying to follow along, though his notes were sparse and his brow furrowed in confusion. When Mr. Davis asked for volunteers to share their interpretations of the soliloquy, Ryan nudged Emma's elbow gently. "You should say something." "You're really good at this," he whispered. Emma hesitated, but finally raised her hand. She spoke about Hamlet's internal struggle, the fear of the unknown, and how it mirrored her own anxieties about stepping out of her comfort zone. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment before Mr. Davis nodded approvingly. "Excellent insight, Emma," he said. Ryan leaned over as the class moved on. "Told you you're good at this," he said with a grin. Over the next few days, Ryan continued sitting next to Emma in English class. What started as polite exchanges about classwork gradually turned into casual conversations. Emma found herself looking forward to their interactions, though she couldn't understand why someone like Ryan would take an interest in her. One afternoon after class, Ryan stopped her as she was packing up her things. "Hey, Emma. So, remember how I said I'm not great at English?" he began, scratching the back of his head. Emma nodded. "I've got a paper due next week, and I have no clue where to start," he admitted. "Do you think you could, I don't know, help me out?" Emma hesitated. She wasn't used to being asked for help, especially by someone like Ryan. But the earnest look on his face made it hard to say no. "Sure. I guess I can help," she said finally. "Awesome," Ryan said, his grin widening. "Maybe after school tomorrow? We can meet in the library." Emma agreed, and the next day, they found themselves seated at a quiet corner table in the library. Ryan brought his essay prompt, a crumpled piece of paper that looked like it had been stuffed in the bottom of his backpack for weeks. Emma read it carefully and began asking him questions about his ideas. At first, Ryan struggled to articulate his thoughts. He joked about football being the only thing he was good at, but Emma gently encouraged him to dig deeper. Slowly, his confidence grew, and he started piecing together a thesis. "You're a really good teacher, you know that?" Ryan said, looking at her with genuine admiration. Emma blushed. "I just like helping people understand stuff," she said. "Well, you're good at it." "Seriously. Thanks for doing this," he said. Their library sessions became a regular thing, and soon their conversations extended beyond schoolwork. Ryan talked about the pressure he felt to live up to everyone's expectations as the school's star athlete. Emma, in turn, shared her insecurities about not fitting in and feeling out of place among her wealthier classmates. Despite their different worlds, they found common ground in their struggles and supported each other in ways neither had expected. As their friendship grew, other students began to notice. Emma could feel the curious stares and hear the whispers in the hallways. She worried that Ryan's popularity might make her a target for ridicule, but Ryan didn't seem to care. He walked with her to class, sat with her during lunch, and defended her when anyone made snide comments. "Let them talk," he said with a shrug when Emma voiced her concerns. "They don't know you like I do." For the first time, Emma felt truly seen. And for Ryan, spending time with Emma gave him a sense of normalcy and authenticity he hadn't realized he was missing. Their unlikely friendship was transforming them both in ways they couldn't yet fully understand. As weeks turned into months, Emma and Ryan's friendship deepened. It was the kind of connection neither of them had experienced before, a bond that felt safe, real, and unpretentious. But even as their friendship blossomed, the personal struggles that each of them carried began to surface, threatening to pull them back into their separate worlds. For Emma, the pressure of maintaining her scholarship weighed heavily. Her scholarship wasn't just an academic opportunity, it was her lifeline. Her family's financial situation was precarious at best. Emma's mother worked long hours as a waitress, and her father, a mechanic, often took odd jobs on weekends to make ends meet. Emma felt a constant need to excel academically, not just for herself, but for her family. The thought of slipping even slightly terrified her. Balancing her rigorous course load, extracurricular activities, and tutoring sessions with Ryan was beginning to take its toll. Late nights became routine, and her once meticulous notes started to lose their clarity. On more than one occasion, Emma caught herself staring blankly at her textbooks, unable to focus. But she pushed through the exhaustion, telling herself that failure wasn't an option. One afternoon, as Emma was packing up after another tutoring session, Ryan noticed the dark circles under her eyes. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, his voice tinged with concern. Emma forced a smile. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just a lot going on." Ryan didn't look convinced. "You've been looking pretty worn out lately. Maybe you should take a break or something." "I can't," Emma said quickly. "There's too much to do. If I don't keep up, I could lose my scholarship." Ryan frowned. "That's a lot to carry on your own, Emma. You don't have to do everything perfectly, you know." Emma's eyes welled up, but she blinked back the tears. "I do, though. I don't have a choice." Ryan reached out and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Hey, listen. You're already doing more than enough. You're the smartest person I know, and you're helping me, too. Don't forget that you're not alone in this." Ryan's words were comforting, but Emma still felt the weight of her responsibilities. She didn't know how to ease up without risking everything she had worked so hard for. Meanwhile, Ryan's life wasn't as perfect as it appeared on the surface. As the school's star quarterback, he was expected to excel on the field, maintain good grades, and represent the school in a positive light. The pressure from his coach, teammates, and even his family was relentless. Football was more than just a sport to Ryan. It was his ticket to a college scholarship and a better future. But lately, the sport he once loved had started to feel like a chore. Ryan's father, a former college athlete, was particularly demanding. He often reminded Ryan of the sacrifices their family had made to support his athletic career. Every missed pass, every lost game felt like a personal failure. "You need to focus, Ryan," his father would say after practice. "If you want to make it to college, there's no room for mistakes." Ryan's coach wasn't any easier on him. Coach Daniels pushed him hard, expecting nothing less than perfection. Practices were grueling, and Ryan's body ached constantly. He had little time for anything outside of football, but he couldn't bring himself to quit. The idea of disappointing everyone who believed in him was too much to bear. One evening, after a particularly rough practice, Ryan found himself sitting alone on the bleachers, staring at the empty field. His phone buzzed in his pocket, and he saw a message from Emma. "Emma, hey, just wanted to say thanks for today. You're a good friend." Ryan stared at the message for a moment before typing a reply. "Ryan thanks him. You are too. Let me know if you need anything, okay?" For a brief moment, the weight on his shoulders felt lighter. Talking to Emma had become a refuge for Ryan, a space where he didn't have to be the perfect athlete or the ideal son. With her, he could just be himself. As the weeks went on, both Emma and Ryan continued to grapple with their personal struggles. Emma's stress reached a breaking point one evening when she accidentally spilled coffee all over a paper she'd spent hours working on. She broke down, sobbing into her hands, overwhelmed by the pressure. Ryan, on the other hand, had a heated argument with his father after a game where his performance had been less than stellar. His father's disappointment was palpable, and Ryan felt like he was suffocating under the weight of expectations. Despite their challenges, Emma and Ryan found solace in each other. They began to open up more, sharing their fears and frustrations in late-night conversations. For Emma, Ryan's encouragement reminded her that she didn't have to carry her burdens alone. For Ryan, Emma's unwavering support helped him see that his worth wasn't defined by his performance on the field. Their friendship became a lifeline, a reminder that even in the midst of their personal struggles, they had someone who truly understood and cared for them. And while their problems didn't disappear, they faced them with a newfound strength, knowing they had each other to lean on. The winter break arrived, bringing with it a welcome pause from the grind of schoolwork and football. For Emma and Ryan, it marked a turning point in their friendship, a time when their bond deepened as they learned to lean on each other in new ways. One chilly Saturday morning, Emma found herself standing in the middle of Crestview's public library, peering over a mountain of books about college applications. Her scholarship would only cover tuition at a handful of schools, so she was determined to make her application stand out. But the process was daunting, and her nerves felt frayed. "You're really going for it, huh?" came Ryan's familiar voice. Emma turned to see him standing there, his hands shoved into the pockets of his jacket. He grinned. "Need some help carrying all that?" Emma laughed softly. "Maybe. This is just the first round, though. I've got essays to write, forms to fill out. It's kind of overwhelming." "Well, you're the queen of essays, so I'm sure you'll crush it," Ryan said, picking up a stack of books for her. "Come on, let's find a table." They settled into a quiet corner of the library, and Emma began organizing her notes. Ryan watched her for a moment before asking, "What's your top school?" "The University of Havenbrook," Emma said without hesitation. "They've got a great program for creative writing. Plus, their scholarship package is amazing." Ryan nodded thoughtfully. "Sounds perfect for you. What about the other ones?" Emma listed a few more schools, explaining their strengths and weaknesses. She hesitated before adding, "Honestly, I'm scared I won't get into any of them. Competition's tough, and I don't know if I'm good enough." Ryan leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "Emma, you're one of the smartest people I know. If anyone deserves a shot, it's you. Don't let that doubt stop you from going for it." Emma smiled, his words bolstering her confidence. "Thanks, Ryan. That means a lot." "No problem. Now let's make a deal. I'll help you with these applications if you help me get through this history paper I've been avoiding," Ryan said with a smirk. "Deal," Emma said, laughing. Over the next few weeks, they fell into a rhythm. They met at the library or at each other's houses, alternating between college essays, football drills, and Ryan's growing pile of overdue assignments. Emma taught Ryan how to outline his papers, while Ryan helped Emma brainstorm ideas for her essays. Their teamwork wasn't just practical, it was transformative. Ryan began to see himself as more than just an athlete. He started participating more in class discussions and even volunteered to read a passage aloud in English, something he'd always avoided before. To his surprise, his classmates were encouraging, and his confidence grew. Emma, in turn, began to step out of her comfort zone. Inspired by Ryan's persistence on the field, she decided to join the school's debate club, something she'd always been too intimidated to try. Her knack for crafting compelling arguments quickly made her a standout member, and she found herself thriving in a way she hadn't expected. One Friday evening, after a long day of studying and practicing, Emma and Ryan sat on the bleachers overlooking the empty football field. The crisp winter air carried the faint smell of pine trees and distant fireplaces. "Do you ever think about the future?" Emma asked, staring up at the stars. Ryan chuckled. "Every day. It's kind of terrifying, to be honest." "Yeah," Emma agreed. "But it's exciting, too. I mean, there's so much we can do, so much we can become. It's just hard to imagine sometimes." Ryan nodded. "You know what? I think you're going to do amazing things, Emma. Whether it's writing the next great novel or leading a movement, you've got what it takes." Emma smiled. Thanks, Ryan. And I know you're going to go far, too. Whether it's football or something else, you'll figure it out. Ryan looked at her, his expression serious. You've helped me figure out a lot already. I don't know if I'd have gotten through this year without you. Same here, Emma said softly. I guess we make a pretty good team. They sat in silence for a while, letting the weight of the moment settle. For the first time in a long while, both of them felt a sense of clarity. They didn't have all the answers, but they had each other, and that was enough for now. As the school year progressed, Emma and Ryan continued to push each other to grow. Ryan's grades improved steadily, and he started receiving letters from college recruiters. Emma, bolstered by Ryan's encouragement, submitted her applications with a newfound confidence. Their friendship became the cornerstone of their shared growth, a reminder that sometimes the people who walk into your life unexpectedly can make all the difference. Together, they discovered that growth wasn't just about overcoming challenges. It was about embracing the journey and finding strength in each other along the way. As spring approached, Emma and Ryan's friendship faced its first real test. What had once felt like an unshakable bond began to waver under the weight of external pressures and misunderstandings. For Emma, the conflict started subtly as whispers and sideways glances from her classmates grew louder. She had never been a subject of gossip before, but now she found herself the focus of idle chatter. "Why is Ryan Matthews hanging out with her?" Someone would whisper behind her back in the hall. "Maybe he's just being nice," another voice would reply, dripping with condescension. Emma tried to ignore the comments, but they gnawed at her confidence. One day, as she was walking to her locker, she overheard two girls from the cheerleading squad talking. "Honestly, she's probably just using him to boost her social status," one of them said. Emma's face burned with humiliation. She wanted to confront them, but she knew it would only make things worse. Instead, she buried her feelings, pretending that the words didn't hurt. Ryan, on the other hand, found himself caught between two worlds. His teammates, who had always seen him as one of their own, began questioning his priorities. "Dude, you've been ditching us for that library girl," his friend Caleb said one afternoon in the locker room. "What's up with that?" "It's not like that," Ryan said defensively. "Emma's helping me with school stuff. She's cool." Caleb snorted. "Cool? She's a total nerd. Come on, man, don't let her drag you down." Ryan clenched his jaw, but didn't respond. He didn't know how to explain to his friends that Emma wasn't just helping him academically. She was one of the few people who truly understood him. Still, the tension lingered, and he felt torn between loyalty to his team and his friendship with Emma. The breaking point came during a Friday night football game. Ryan had been off his game, missing passes and fumbling plays. The crowd's cheers turned to murmurs of frustration, and Coach Daniels was livid. "Matthews, get ahead in the game," the coach barked as Ryan jogged to the sidelines. "What's going on with you?" Ryan didn't have an answer. His mind wasn't on the field. It was preoccupied with a growing tension between him and Emma and the pressure he felt from everyone around him. By the end of the game, Crestview had lost, and Ryan felt the weight of the team's disappointment squarely on his shoulders. As he left the locker room, he spotted Emma waiting by the bleachers. She waved, but Ryan hesitated. Part of him wanted to talk to her, but another part, the part that was angry, frustrated, and overwhelmed, felt like pushing her away. "Hey," Emma said, her smile faltering when she saw his expression. "Tough game, huh?" "You could say that," Ryan muttered, his tone clipped. Emma frowned. "Are you okay?" Ryan let out a bitter laugh. "Do I look okay? Everyone's on my case. My dad, my coach, my team. And now I've got people saying I'm wasting my time with you." Emma's heart sank. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe Caleb and the others are right," Ryan said, his voice rising. "Maybe I should just focus on football and stop trying to juggle everything. Maybe this was a mistake." Emma's chest tightened. "So, you think I'm a mistake?" Ryan froze, realizing how his words sounded. "No, that's not what I meant. I don't know." Well, it sure sounds like it, Emma said, her voice trembling. If that's how you feel, then maybe you should figure out what you really want. Before Ryan could respond, Emma turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing in the empty stadium. The days that followed were tense and quiet. Emma avoided Ryan in the hallways, throwing herself into her studies and debate team practices. Ryan, meanwhile, focused on football, trying to block out the lingering guilt he felt about their argument. But no matter how hard they tried to move forward, the absence of their friendship was palpable. It wasn't until a week later that Ryan finally worked up the courage to talk to Emma. He found her in a library, surrounded by stacks of books, her headphones in as she typed furiously on her laptop. He hesitated, unsure if she would even want to see him. "Emma," he said softly, pulling out the chair across from her. She looked up, surprised, but her expression quickly turned guarded. "What do you want, Ryan?" Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry. I messed up. I was frustrated and said things I didn't mean. You've been nothing but good to me, and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair." Emma studied him for a moment before nodding. "I get it. I've been under a lot of pressure too. But it still hurt, Ryan. I thought we were a team." "We are," Ryan said earnestly. "And I don't want to lose that. I've been letting everyone else's expectations get in my head, but I'm done with that. I need you to know how much your friendship means to me." Emma's expression softened. "It means a lot to me, too. But we can't let other people's opinions dictate our choices. If we're going to be friends, we have to have each other's backs." Ryan nodded. "You're right. From now on, no more letting anyone else get in the way." They smiled at each other, the tension between them easing. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a start. Together, they resolved to face whatever challenges came their way, knowing that their friendship was worth fighting for. With the final weeks of the school year approaching, Emma and Ryan found themselves navigating their last stretch of high school with a renewed sense of purpose. The conflicts they had faced together not only tested their bond, but also reshaped their perspectives on what it meant to succeed. For Emma, success had always been tied to academic achievement. Her scholarship was still her top priority, but after months of pushing herself to the brink, she realized that her well-being mattered too. The support she had received from Ryan helped her take a step back and prioritize balance. She began setting realistic goals and giving herself permission to rest, even if it meant stepping away from her studies for a while. One sunny afternoon, Emma sat at her desk, revising her final essay for the University of Havenbrook application. She'd chosen to write about the vending machine encounter that had changed everything. Her essay highlighted how an unexpected friendship had taught her the importance of connection and how it had pushed her to embrace her vulnerabilities. As she typed the final paragraph, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Ryan. "Ryan, debate club tournament today, right? Good luck. You're gonna crush it." Emma smiled and replied, "Emma, thanks. And don't forget, college recruiters are coming to your game tonight. You've got this." "Ryan, only if you're there to cheer me on." "Emma, wouldn't miss it." Smiley face. Meanwhile, Ryan's view of success had shifted significantly. For most of his life, success had been defined by touchdowns, trophies, and the approval of his father and coach. But as he spent more time with Emma, he began to see that success wasn't just about winning. It was about being true to himself. His performance on the field improved, not because he was chasing perfection, but because he was finally playing for the love of the game rather than the pressure to prove himself. During practices, he found himself enjoying the camaraderie with his teammates, and during games, he played with a newfound confidence. On the night of the big game, the bleachers were packed with spectators. Ryan scanned the crowd as he jogged onto the field, spotting Emma in the front row, cheering loudly. Her presence steadied him, reminding him of how far he'd come. The game was intense, but Ryan stayed focused. He executed plays with precision and encouraged his teammates, leading Crestview to a narrow victory. As the final whistle blew, The crowd erupted in cheers, and Ryan's teammates lifted him onto their shoulders. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Ryan found Emma waiting for him near the locker rooms. "You were amazing out there," she said, beaming. "Couldn't have done it without you," Ryan replied, pulling her into a quick hug. "Seriously, thanks for everything." "Same goes for you," Emma said. "Now let's celebrate before I crash from all this adrenaline." The months that followed were a whirlwind of final exams, senior activities, and college acceptances. Emma's hard work paid off when she received an acceptance letter from the University of Havenbrook, complete with a full scholarship. Ryan, too, received offers from several colleges, both for his athletic abilities and his improved academic record. As graduation day approached, the two friends reflected on their journey. On the evening before the ceremony, they met at the same vending machine where their story had begun. The school was quiet, and the hallway was bathed in the soft glow of the fluorescent lights. "Remember this?" Ryan said, gesturing to the machine. "The granola bar that started it all." Emma laughed. "I still can't believe you gave it up." "That was the last one, you know." "Best decision I ever made," Ryan said with a grin. "Seriously, though, I'm glad we met, Emma. I wouldn't be the person I am today without you." Emma's eyes shimmered with emotion. "Same here. You've taught me so much about believing in myself and taking risks. I'll never forget that." They stood in silence for a moment before Ryan reached into his pocket and pulled out a coin. "One last granola bar for old time's sake?" Emma nodded, and Ryan inserted the coin into the machine. They shared the snack, laughing and reminiscing about the ups and downs of their final year of high school. As they walked out of the building together, they felt a sense of closure and excitement for the future. Their friendship had been the cornerstone of their growth, a testament to the power of connection and mutual support. For Emma, success was no longer just about academic achievements, but about living a balanced and fulfilling life. For Ryan, it was about embracing who he was and finding joy in the journey. Together, they had redefined what it meant to succeed, proving that sometimes the most unexpected encounters can change everything. Thank you for sticking around until the end. Again, show your appreciation by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel for more stories like these.